to Manifest on Purpose. My name is Kimberly Williams. I am a mindset consultant specializing in manifestation. I help you align your mindset with the things that you desire in your life to help you manifest in your life. So what are you waiting for? Come on, let's go. Let's manifest on purpose. Hello. My name is Kimberly Williams. Welcome to the Manifest on Purpose podcast. I am your host. I hope that you've had a great week this weekend. I hope that you got great things planned for the weekend coming up. For those of you who are new, I want to say welcome. Welcome to the Manifest on Purpose podcast show. I hope that you will find some things that will help you go throughout the challenges and the changes in your life. And I also want to thank you all that have been riding with me the whole while. The ones that catch almost every one of my episodes. Thank you for being here and thank you for always coming back. Please, guys, don't be stingy. Make sure that you share me with someone. Each one teach one. Someone else can benefit from this message too. I want to talk to you today if there's things going on in your life. This is more like a motivational message for you today because sometimes we go through things that we don't quite understand. A lot of times we don't quite understand some of the things we go through, especially when those things just start. We have to take some time to figure out what's going on, but before we do, we're just stuck there for a while sometimes it seems like. I've been there, guys, and I still face these moments at times. If you're still facing these moments, it's because you're still growing. You know those moments when you feel like you're in the thick of the forest and you can't seem to see a clear path out. You're just standing there looking around trying to find your way out and everything just seems the same and you can't find that clear path. Come on, I know this message is for someone out there today. My intention today is not to promise you that these times will never happen. There's no way that anybody can promise you that. My intention today is to add hope to your life, to let you know that there's a reason why you're going through this, to let you know that there is a reason for this season. No matter what it seems like you're going through right now, no matter whether you can figure it out all at once, there is a reason for this season. There is a purpose for what you're going through at this moment. And it's time for you to figure out what that purpose is so that you can move forward. Now, before I go further, I want to talk to you about two laws of the universe. You know, I always have to throw these laws in there. According to this first law, we are all one with the universe. This is the law of oneness. According to this law, everything in the universe is connected through creation. Period. That's it. We're all connected. We're connected to everything around us. When you start to realize that and it becomes true to you, then you'll change the way that you perceive the world. You'll change the way that you look at things. We're even connected to nature and the seasons. And for me, the seasons of the year are measurements in time. We can expect flowers to bloom in the spring and for them to die during the fall. These are some things that we see. This is how we measure growth in nature according to the seasons because we know that each season has a purpose. Our lives can also be measured in seasons. Our experiences can also be measured in seasons. We'll get into that soon enough. I'm going to break that down to you because we are all connected. We are all following the law of perpetual motion. That's that second law I was telling you about. This law states that everything is constantly changing. This is why seasons become necessary because it measures change and growth. In order to be able to grow, you have to change. That's the important thing to remember. And when we go through things, I like to call them shifts, we're growing. Now let's think about how this relates to us as human beings. What season are you in right now in your life? If you are in a time of your life that you feel that nothing is growing, you feel stuck right now. You can't decide which way you should go. You're stuck in that forest and you don't see the clear path out. You are in the season of winter. Winter is the dark, cold season. And I don't want you to confuse that because there's no good or bad. It just is. But winter is that dark, cold season. This is actually the time in your life that you may find yourself doing shadow work. And for those of you who don't know what shadow work is when you are dealing with those dark, hidden parts of yourself or personality. If you are having rough times, wrecking ball moments, or your life just seems to be in chaos, you're in the winter season. Here's the thing about the winter season. The winter is designed for rest. Maybe that's why it seems so rough. It's designed for you to rest. It's not that all of these things were not happening in the previous season. There were some things that were going on in your life, but because you were too busy doing other things, working on your growth, you were unable to focus on those dark things. Remember, I said if you want to know how we manifest, look at nature as the example. Here's the winter example. Bears and some other animals use winter as the hibernation season or the season to be in rest mode. Take a note from nature. You should be doing the same exact thing. You should be in rest mode too. When you notice not so pleasant things happening around you, don't engage. Rest by letting things flow. You don't have to challenge everything. See it for what it is and let it flow. Don't break your rest. Another nature example relates to a concept I spoke about before, sowing and reaping. When the season of winter falls on the farmer, he or she knows that for that season the land is barren. So now it's time to rest. In other words, this is the season to lay low, tuck away, and protect your energy. The important thing for you to do at this time is to affirm, this is only for my growth. Because although from the outside of it, the season seems barren, there is actually growth there. There's actually growth there. That rest makes growth possible. It's easier to grow when you're in that rest mode. Another thing for you to affirm in this season is that this is only for a season. This, what I'm going through right now, it's not going to last always. It's only for a season. Before I move on to the next season, I want you to know that seasons in nature have set times and measurements for when they begin and end and how long they last. There is no such measurements for the seasons in our lives. Sometimes seasons can go fairly quickly. Sometimes they may last a long time. Your season begins when it's necessary, and it only ends when the lesson is learned from it. And I like to tell people about tests, and I base that on these seasons in our lives. And that season, when you get that test comes to you. If you don't pass it the first time, you're going to have to take that test again. That's why your season lasts longer, because you got to keep taking the same test over and over again. Not only are you repeating the same test, The test gets harder and harder to get your attention during these seasons. So when you see these seasons come in, the best thing to do is ask, what is this for? What am I meant to learn? And go ahead and focus on learning what you need to in that season so that you can flip the switch and go right to the next season. Basically, you grow out of seasons. If you find yourself in a season for a long period of time, that means that you're not growing. And if something is not growing, you know what happens. It dies. Spring is a wonderful season. Just hearing the word spring makes me think about action. Spring in nature is the intention stage. It's the time of the year that a lot of the planting seeds are happening and reproduction increases. I choose to look at spring as a new beginning. Things just always seem to be more beautiful in the spring. Is that the case for you too? Spring in our lives also represents new beginnings for me. This is the time of creation. This, my friends, is the time that you should be setting intentions. Every time you set intentions, you flip the switch on to the season of spring. Just like there are laws of nature for the seasons, there are also laws for the seasons in our lives. You cannot live effectively in more than one season at a time. Let's take a look at the 2 seasons I have covered thus far. You cannot expect to live in winter where it is cold and dark and barren and also be living in spring at the same time. The time of new beginnings. You have to evolve out of the winter season first. The first thing you should do is to focus on your desires. When you place your focus on setting intentions and creation during this time in your life, you will grow. Spring is all about growth. It's all about new beginnings, starting fresh. We can look at these seasons as seasons of our lives, but we can also look at the fact that every area of your life goes through seasons too. I talked about this a little bit earlier. Let's look at your career. There may be periods where you feel no growth in your career. You're in the winter season. You're making plans and setting your intentions for that career. It means that you're in the spring season. Here in the United States, on the south and the east coast, it gets warmer in the summer and downright hot at times. During this season, things are just flowing. You can see the evidence of creation. I'm talking about the summer season, guys. This is also when the farmers are keeping a check on their potential harvest. They may have to give it extra attention and nourishment. They may have to make sure that there's extra water get into their crops so that they won't dry out. In life, this is also a time where people tend to go on vacation to relax. Mentally, you should be aligning with what you want. Relax from the things that is going on around from you all of the time. Relax from what things look like and visualize only the things that you want to see. This is what I like to call being absent in the body and present in the mind. This is what you need to be doing during the summer season. Because the heat represents fire to me, which equates to action. The summer season in your life or area of life is designed for you to get that mental under subjection. Align your mindset with your desires. That right there is how we manifest on purpose. Last but not least, we enter into the fall, aka harvest season. Fall is a rich season. This is when you see the leaves falling and things dying. This is out with the old and in with the new for me. This is when the farmer can finally reap a harvest. If you are in the harvest season, you are letting things go that are not serving a valid purpose in your life. so that you can usher in newness. The farmer does not pick the weeds with the crop. The weeds have to go. The weeds in our lives have to go too. This is the detachment phase. It is time to, as I like to say, let that shift go. It's when you know that something is not the best for you. That's a shift in your life. You have to let that shift go. Don't focus on the things that are changing around you, the experiences that are changing around you, the people that are changing around you. No, be focused on your desires. Be focused on the end result. Let that shift go. Let me tell you, the moment you decide to let go can be compared to the experience of a cork coming out of a champagne bottle. Once that pressure is released, everything just flows. That pressure, guys, is resistance. It becomes resistance when you are holding on to what's not serving you. That's what's holding you back. That's what's stopping up whatever is in that bottle. Those things that you are letting hold you back. Let that shift go. Now that I've talked about the seasons, I want to share my very own personal experience. This is going to be a longer episode than usually, probably, because this story went a little bit longer than what I thought it would. But just sit back and enjoy. I'm going to let you know about the experience I had and take you through that evolution in seasons. It's kind of like a little weird because when I was thinking about this, it's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg type thing. And I felt that way because as I was thinking about it, I saw that everything seemed to connect. All of the seasons seemed to connect. With that being said, I'll start with the preceding harvest of the whole experience to share the back season or the backstory of what got me to where I was at that moment in my life. Okay, let's jump into this. It was a time in my life where I had gone through things that created major shifts in my life. I felt defeated at that point in my life. Guys, this was a really tough moment. Not to say that this was the toughest thing that I had ever gone through. Maybe it was. There has been a few times in my life that I have gone through tough situations, and this was one of those situations that kind of felt like that rock bottom moment. I felt defeated. I began building while I was destroying. After having gone through this for some months, I knew I had to do something because I was at the point of depression. I was at the point where I didn't want to do anything. It was hard for me to focus on anything. Guys, this was a really bad moment in my life. I just thought about how I was sitting there doing nothing and the problem still wasn't going away. So I decided to start a recreation project for myself. I needed to. I had to at that moment. I could not continue to live like that. I felt as if I had lost a lot during that time. Like I said, it was a rock bottom moment, it felt like. It's difficult now to even look back on it and talk about it. However, it needs to be heard because I want everyone to know that if I could rise above that, you can too. You can rise above anything. At first, I didn't even know how I would rise above it. I guess that's why I sat around depressed for so long. I began first by taking care of myself spiritually. I was in a group of people around a group of people that were spiritually inclined, and they started inviting me to some of the events, and I started to get into reading, and I started getting more in touch spiritually. And I think that's what really gave me a boost to get going. I was listening to these tapes back then, or CDs, and I did it in long enough until I built up enough courage to begin to build through education. didn't step away from building spiritually, but I was able to also add in education to it. And that opened up the doors for employment and my success in the career that I was in. I decided to do something totally different from what I was doing before. I decided to jump into healthcare. My drive and passion was to care for people. Spiritually, I knew I was on a mission. I knew that this was purpose. This moment in my life was purpose. It had a point to it. I started out with the elderly. I really connected with them. I built relationships with them. Most of my patients prefer me over some of the other staff. Some wouldn't even let anybody else touch them while I was not there. The downside to it at first was that I saw a lot of dying because I was dealing with so many elderly people. And not only was I around it and seeing it, it got to the point where I had to be the one to provide aftercare for them. I had to provide comfort care. Comfort care is when you know that a patient is dying and you're just letting it naturally happen, and you're very close to that patient, making sure that you're keeping them comfortable in their last days or their last, sometimes weeks of their life. Basically taking care of them before they passed away, and then you would provide the aftercare after they passed away. Before the first time I had to do aftercare, I was very nervous. Somebody pushed it off on me. Somebody was getting off from it was shift changed, and I came in and they said, "Oh, this patient needs aftercare done." They didn't want to do it, so they pushed it off on me. And me being the hard worker that I am, I went ahead and did it. One thing about me, when I do something, I always do it to the best of my ability. Let me tell you, I had the most amazing spiritual experience. It was so incredible. I just felt joy and happiness and a sense of gratitude and bliss. Not like the sadness I thought that it would be. And this was not something coming from the physical me. I know it wasn't. This was an energy. This was something spiritual. And I even began to hear songs in my head while all of this was going on. And I felt this presence that just felt so warm and amazing. And I'm even getting chills right now as I talk about it. I knew right then that this is something special. My higher said to me and let me know that day, "You are here to care for the dying." And I took that both ways. I took it both ways. I was here to comfort these people that are here in the end of their days and to help usher them into their next lifetime, into their next role that they will play. I was doing a wonderful job of that. On another level, I know that I'm also here to do that for souls as well, people that are here. People that are going through things in life and they feel like they may be dying. I'm here to care for those people too. That's the whole reason for this podcast. And I want you to share this with as many people as you can, because I want to reach as many people that needs this message across the world so that I can be there to add some encouragement to their life, so I can help them get a better understanding in life. But I knew that that's what I was there for. I was there to make their transition easier. And I know that that was for the living as well as the dying. I'm here to make your transition easier. After that experience, synchronicity stepped in. Before I go into the synchronicity of it, I do want to let you know this. It was my very first time, and I was concerned if I did a good job in taking care of this man after his death. His wife came to me about 2 weeks later. She gave me a token of appreciation. With that token, she gave me a note. I have that note somewhere. If I could get to it, I would read you that note. But in that note, it was so beautiful. She was thanking me for the extra care, the time that I took when caring for her husband. And that let me know that was a synchronicity too. That was letting me know that I was on the right path, that I was doing what I was supposed to do. But the other synchronicities I'm talking about, most of my patients became comfort care patients. I worked with mostly women. There were a few men. My ladies started getting sick. They were always elderly. And like I said, we were very close. I could talk to some of them, and some of them couldn't even talk to their family, but they could communicate with me. These ladies were close to me. They were family to me. When they started passing away, at first it seemed sad to me, but I knew that it was a purpose for it. It was a purpose. I was supposed to be the ones to take care of them and usher them into their next form of existence. I made those people feel so good. I'm just so grateful to think about how comfortable I made them. I mean, my folks got the 5-star treatment, and it just fills me up with gratitude just to think about those last moments, how happy I made them during that time, how comfortable I made them during that time. There's another side to this story. While all of that was going on, shift was happening. And the shift this time was between the staff and the management. There was a lot of drama going on between staff and management. I knew winter season had come when this started happening. When it became really bad, I started putting in applications because you know me, I will let that shift go. It was time for action. It was time for growth. I was planting seeds. The extra education qualified me for a higher position with more money. I was offered a job through a good employer to work for. I had the sweetest position, and I also had the sweetest schedule. I was working in the ICU, and this was great because there were never too many positions open or available in there. I think I was the first hire in probably like 5 years. Once I got there and started working, the strangest thing happened. And I don't even know why I say strangest things because it's just synchronicity again. My previous patients and even people that I knew from the community or have had encounters with ended up coming there. And I would have to provide comfort care for them there too. I was still providing comfort care for the same patients, some of the same patients. And even patients that I knew from spiritual communities, people that I knew I had grown up around. And I just felt so honored and privileged. After a while, because I provided the best care for them everywhere I went, I did 100% because this is what I was passionate about. This is what I love to do. And really how I actually got the job is I actually got the job through an administrator from my previous, she wasn't from the previous job. She was working at the new job, but I was caring for her family member at the previous job. Because she's an administrator in healthcare, of course, she was strict on how her family member was taken care of, which shouldn't even be necessary because they should be taken care of anyway. But she was just extra strict, extra cautious. And a lot of days when she came in, I was with her family member and she just loved the way that I took care of him, how I talked to him, how I treated him. I went on to put in the application and it was her recommendation that got me the new job. And as I said, I also brought the excellence to this new job when caring for my patients. One thing that I learned to do there, well, one thing that I started, a habit that I had, was in the ICU, a lot of people, especially if they're on comfort care, they would be on the ventilator on life support prior to. And a lot of times it's sad, but people look at people when they're on life support and they think that, they're not able to hear them or they're not aware of what's going on. But I always had the habit of talking to my patients. Sometimes it would be like a whole conversation going on. People would walk by the room and see me talking and think I was crazy, but I would be having an actual whole conversation with this patient while they were intubated, while they were on life support. I would put on calming music at night for them to be able to sleep through. I would treat them just like I would treat anybody else, or just like I would have someone else treat me. And I think a lot of that is what got me noticed on the hospital level. And to me, that was really nothing. I didn't care about that. I just did what felt right to me. I just did what I love. Of course, at that point, I started receiving achievement awards on the level of the unit, and then it went on to hospital level excellence awards. After these things happened, I noticed that there were still some issues that I had going on the home front. Although work was interesting to me, the career was exciting to me, there was some stuff that I still had not dealt with. There was still some skeletons in the closet. Winter came in because I began to focus on these things again, and I started to grow uninspired. It was time for me to have the big shift. I came up out of that winter season and shifted right back into spring. My intentions were, again, to recreate. I set new intentions. I set an intention to move to another city. I said, I just have to get away. I have to have a fresh start. In order for me to recreate myself, I got to get away from the things that are holding me down. Summer season came at that point, and I got into action. I began to plan things out. I didn't rush or stress about anything. I just let them flow. Harvest season came along so fast. I was recreating my life by leaving everything that didn't serve me. Within 2 months, guys, I was working. This time, I was in the ICU too. And this is crazy because usually I never held on that long before. I don't know why so much fear had set in during that time. But I knew that I was there a lot longer than I should have been. And I'm not talking about months. I'm talking about years. I knew that I should be out on my own. I stressed so long being in that state, I began to get sick. You all know about the sickness that I had, the illness that I had. The longer I stayed there, the worse the illness got. When I released it, when I said it's time for me to stop being afraid, I got to start making steps to move on to the next level. That release, it caused that cork to pop right out. Once that cork popped out, things began to flow. This is what I want you to do. I want you to practice becoming aware of the seasons in your life and react accordingly. I talked about it today. If you're in the winter season, you know that is time for rest. That is time for downtime. If you're in spring season in your life or doing an aspect of your life at this moment, you should be setting intentions. This is the creation mode. If you're in summer, you need to be getting things aligned with your mindset. You need to let your passion drive you at that moment. And if you're in fall, you need to be letting go of everything that's holding you back. You need to pull up the weeds away from your harvest so that your harvest won't get consumed. This is what you should be doing during your seasons. Learn your season. Whatever season you're in, keep your head up. Seasons come and go. There's a purpose for everything that you experience. Things just don't happen without a purpose. There's always a purpose. The very first thing you need to do is ask, what are you meant to learn? Or what is this leading up to at this moment? It may not be a moment that feels good to you. It may not be a moment that you can even understand, but it's a moment that's leading you to something better. It's a moment that's designed to elevate you. It's giving you an extra push. Just trust the process and let it flow. You're going to be all right. I want you to know that anything you're experiencing right now is only for a season. This season will end. Don't let it get you down. This is designed to elevate you. This is designed for growth. Don't give up on it. Keep going. You don't want to have to continue to learn the same lesson over and over again. You can do it because you are unlimited. If anything I said today, if anything in this message resonates with you, let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to leave me your topic requests down below also. And subscribe to the Manifest on Purpose podcast if you want to receive a weekly newsletter with tips and sneak peeks. You can subscribe on manifestonpurpose.net. Everyone, I want you to keep your head up, and I want to let you know I love you to life. Don't forget to manifest on purpose.